Content warning, gore, and intrusive thoughts.
I'm Althera, a bard from the Grove. I don't mean any harm.
I can't stop thinking about her, the bard. How she came filled with hope and ended up a mess of entrails on the chapel floor. No, I can't afford to wallow. We have to get healing, no matter what. As I left to find the goblin camp, I was startled to see a fop named Raphael. They whisked me off to a beautifully appointed manor and shook off their human form to reveal the Cambion lurking underneath. His house of supposed hope was just an elaborate con to buy my safety, at the cost of my soul. My soul may be blackened, but it is and will forever be mine. I would rather writhe in agony as my skull splits open to make room for aberrant tentacles than spend an eternity as the plaything of the inferno below. Returned to the wilderness, his transaction refused. We found a field of blood where hyenas were squirming and wailing with bloated stomachs around the corpses of half-eaten caravan guards. Suddenly, the hyenas burst open in ecstatic torment, spawning gnoll babes consumed with a ravenous hunger for flesh that was all too familiar. After putting the newborns down for a nap, we learned that a couple of guards had fled the caravan with a wizard's artifact to keep it safe, and that this pair, Rugen and an apprentice, were heading for a secret hideout. We also learned that the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate, Ulder Ravengard, is facing opposition to his immigration policy, and that unrest in the gate might be rising. Down the nearby chasm, we found Will's quarry. She too was in Tadpole, and, despite what Will's source claimed, was not in league with Avernus, but was fleeing from the Hells. Zariel, ruler of Avernus, sent assassins disguised as paladins of Tyr after her. But that will be a canvas to paint another day, with Karlach at our side. After apologizing for his mistake, Will intimated that we might have a dangerous visitor at camp soon. Gale decided that he didn't like that others were the focus of the group's attention right now, and let me know that he needs to be given powerful magic items, or people could die. I gave him a necklace, and he groped his tit back at me. Gale. We finally found the goblin camp and snuck into the checkpoint, slaughtering them left and right. Apparently, they roasted a nearby inn with the aid of a drow mage and the gnolls we ran into earlier. A number of prisoners got hauled off to Moonrise Towers, and we can take a broken road to get there ourselves. Heading into camp proper, I felt my body commanded to the ground. 3 looming figures appeared before me. They were hunting for the prism. After an eternal moment, the illusion was forcefully wrenched away from my sight by Shadowheart wielding the artifact she so jealously guarded. She is a servant of Shah sent to retrieve this artifact, her memory wiped to preserve the Lady of Shadow's confidences, only to be returned upon successful delivery of the relic to Baldur's Gate. Or so she believes. Finding our feet, it wasn't long before our ears were assaulted by what must technically be described as poetry. It seems Volo had found himself an audience worthy of his talents. We couldn't leave him that way. Could we? Particularly Brazen Goblin demanded I kiss their foot, and at first I was a little taken aback, I must say. But it has been quite some time since I've tasted goblin blood. This was a popular move amongst the goblins, and only grew more popular when I invited Lunk and his gourmand associates to the soiree. there were no survivors. Without even wiping ourselves clean from the bloody bubble bath we just found ourselves in, we marched into the goblin fort. Shadowheart grew uneasy thanks to it being a former temple to Selûne, but pushed forth regardless. We quickly found the puffed-up Popinjay, who now wants to follow me around like I'm the little chick's mother. I suppose I could always use some fresh blood. No, bad. But it is Volo. We finally found the druid Halsin, trapped in bare form in a goblin jail. He broke out just as we turned on the guards and began to tear through his tormentors in a uniquely Ursine fury that I feel truly fortunate to have witnessed. Though returned to his human countenance, the man was no less a bear and told us that, while he was unable to remove our parasites immediately, he did know that they came from Moonrise Towers. That name again. Parasites? Prisoners? Others like me? All in one place. This cannot be a coincidence. Before we set out, though, Halsin asked me to enact vengeance on the goblins and their leaders. Well, that's a win-win in my book. Shadowheart seemed tired, so we headed back to camp to let her rest and get some fresh legs, and of course, Gale wanted another magic item. He didn't like this one. If only I cared. Speaking of people who I can't seem to get rid of, Volo was also there and claimed to be an expert on Illithid, boldly claiming that they had tentacles. He did give me some alright fashion, though. Back at the fort, we cleared out the guards before speaking to the drow Minthara. She too has an Illithid tadpole, and one of the Chosen is speaking to her. We tore her to sweet shreds, but not before she killed Astarion. He'd never looked more elegant, lying there on the ground, and it was with profound regret that I used one of our scrolls of Revivify to bring him back to the realm of the living. This was rather a shock to Astarion, so we retired for the evening to rest and contemplate. When we got to camp, I was feeling worse than I expected. Lae'zel took this moment to ambush me once more. I approve of her dedication, but preferably not against me. That night, I saw a heavenly visitor in my dreams. They say that they will protect me, and it put me at an odd ease. We should wield the parasite, use it against our foes, and defend ourselves. I woke and saw the cursed aberration sitting in a jar next to me. A small, writhing sliver of strength. If we are to win, we need power. Astarion fell against Minthara, and we must stop that happening again. At any cost.